so first play we're going to look at, 2nd and 2, one of the Patriots' first offensive plays.
What's going on, everyone? Mike Kadlick, Taylor Kyles here for CLNS Media, back with another episode of the Patriots Daily Podcast, powered this week by our good friends at Prize Picks and Monarch Money. And today, powered by a very special guest. It is Tyler Desena. He covers the Dolphins. He covers the Dolphins like Taylor covers the Patriots. A film guru.
Better. Don't do that. He's better.
It's the film game, guys. You guys are film geniuses, so we had to have Tyler on to preview the Patriots versus Dolphins. AFC East matchup, 0-1 versus 0-1. Two teams who looking at each other right now, looking that they desperately need a win in week 2 to get these things back on track. So, Tyler, we're going to have a ton of Dolphins questions for you throughout this whole thing. But what we've been doing lately on the show is changing it up a bit, taking the football out of it for a second. I know, like you just mentioned, you've been grinding the film since Sunday's game, but when you're able to step away from football and get your mind out of it, what are you watching for shows or movies? What's the best thing that you've seen in the last couple months that you can sell us on to make us watch?
Okay, so I'm a movie guy when it comes to like every so often getting me and my girlfriend go to the movies, and like I have the like Regal pass or whatever, so we're watching them pretty consistently.
AMCA list, I see you.
Yeah, I had the AMCA list and then I moved. So, but yeah, with the Regal one, I mean, when I saw Sinners a couple months ago, one of the best movies of the year for sure. And then as far as shows, my girlfriend and I are watching through. She's seen it. I haven't. How I Met Your Mother for the first time.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, I mean,
Are you liking it?
I am. I'm liking it. Like, because the first time we tried to watch it, I fell asleep like almost every time she put it on. And it's like not even, that's just a thing I do when TV's on. Like I'm really bad with falling asleep. And then, but this time she's like, we got to watch it. You got to stick through. And we're like almost done and I'm enjoying it. So,
wow, that's pretty good progress. Well done.
Love it. How I Met Your Mother is a classic. That is one of my favorite. Easy does it, throw it on. And like you said, fall asleep or watch it. It's hilarious. You don't need to pay too much attention. So I love it. And I'm not a movie guy. Taylor is the movie guy. So you guys will have to have your own movie talk on your own time. But
you better see Sinners though, dude. What are you doing? It's on HBO.
I haven't even seen it. I saw Josh Allen started to cry when he talked to Kyle Brandt about it though, because Haley just put on such a terrific show in that one. But I digress. It's football time. It's football season. And the Pats are heading to South Beach this weekend. So, Tyler, we ask you this. It's the 30,000-foot question to start. But was Sunday versus the Colts, the 38-3 loss, or 33-8, excuse me, was that a one-off for this Miami team? Or do we think the Patriots can truly take advantage of a Dolphins team that, again, they've started hot in the past. They were in a dome and only put up 8 points. I thought that was kind of concerning for this team. So, again, do you think that was a one-off, or is this sort of a recipe for disaster in Miami this season?
I think the thing that's weirdest about this is that Miami, their teaching points were all the opposite of what happened on Sunday. They talked specifically about being a physical team at the line of scrimmage on defense, making contact in the contact window, disrupting the timing of throws. There was barely any presser jam coverage from any of Miami's corners throughout the day. Even when you had 3rd and long opportunities or 3rd and medium opportunities where you think you're going to see some physicality at the line of scrimmage, give your guys an extra second to get home. There was none of that. And then on offense, they're talking about consistency of mastery with Tua and trying to have every player have individual ownership of this offense and of their assignments. And it just felt like none of the offensive pieces that are supposed to be the primary focuses of this team were invested, or like just it didn't like you. This is a team that talked so much about having the guys there and how important it is to develop chemistry with Tua and have these guys who are running routes with Tua getting the ball. Jaylen Waddle's the prime example of that. Didn't miss like any time throughout camp. And then Tyreek's still the one getting all the targets when he didn't practice at all. And then you see Tyreek lining up in the wrong spot. Player Tua having to play conductor and move all the guys around for like the first 15 seconds. So by the time he's looking up, he has no time to dissect what's going on at the line of scrimmage. It was a total disaster. I mean, if the Miami Dolphins stick to their actual teaching points, then it's definitely possible that they're a much better team than this. But they played in a way that was not at all how they advertised themselves. And that's what's scary.
In your opinion, how hot is Mike McDaniel's seat, kind of to add on to that? Because you did a great job on TikTok, and I'm sorry if I'm missing other platform, breaking down the issues with the offense and how, like, you had Devon Achane and a tight end trying to block DeForest Buckner, who is one of the biggest and scariest MFers in the NFL. So you expect Mike McDaniel to be the one putting everybody in position to succeed because this is his offense. So I hate to, be sensationalist because it's just a week 1 game, right? Things can turn around in the matter of just 1 week. But this feels like a pattern of Mike McDaniel's team sometimes being poorly prepared or sometimes when things get tough, maybe not necessarily rising to the occasion. Do you see it the same way, or do you think maybe the outside perception of him doesn't fit what Dolphins fans and followers have been seeing?
I have been one of the more staunch Mike McDaniel defenders for the late season stuff, just because Miami has been a team that's been so ravaged by injury. They have had to try to go into the late seasons with quarterbacks that they pick up off the street, and it doesn't look the same as it does with Tua. This game has sort of shifted my opinion on the preparation level of this team because of the fact that they spent so much of this offseason trying to change their image and move towards sustainability, like going out and dumping off a Jonnu Smith because you want to have a more traditional wide tight end and you believe in Julian Hill to be that player. And then simultaneously playing Tanner Connor, who is a borderline wide receiver, was a wide receiver in college. You play him at tight end instead for way too many reps because you feel he has comfortability in the offense. Devon Achane playing these pass pro reps where you have 2 other guys in Jeff Wilson and Ollie Gordon that you should trust way more in these pass protection from the pass protection standpoint. And then on top of that, losing 2 offensive linemen on Sunday and just not having any sort of plan to deal with that pressure. It really was it was every single thing that could go wrong for the Dolphins did. And it's hard to not put a lot of that on Mike McDaniel. It feels like if this team doesn't start playing the way that they want to play football, or at least that I believe they want to play football, then Mike McDaniel is definitely, his seat is getting a little warm for sure.
And on that, and again, Rex, talk about sensationalizing something. Rex Ryan kind of did that yesterday on ESPN, calling Mike McDaniel nerd boy and all that. Like, I think that that's taken it a little bit too far, right? But there is this, like, I don't know if happy-go-lucky is the right way to talk about it with McDaniel, but it's kind of like, he's the young kid and you don't know when shit's going to hit the fan, for lack of a better term, how people are going to respond to him. So is this something that could unravel because of his personality and how, like, is he, from what you've seen, because you've covered the team more so than we have, is he fit to be a head coach, or is he more fit to be an offensive guy who calls the plays and not stands behind the scenes, but is he someone who's supposed to be able to kind of rally the troops and be a leader as a head coach?
He's asking if he's Josh McDaniels.
Yeah, exactly.
See, this is the thing, because obviously, like, I'm not in the building, and like I've watched a lot of the press conferences and try to see where the players align in their message with McDaniel, how things are doing. And the team talked the talk this offseason. Everything that came out of everybody's mouth was right. It seemed like all the players and coaches were in unison about taking ownership, truly trying to understand what a real player-driven locker room is, shifting of who the leaders are on this team from not necessarily the highest paid players, but the players that you trust to be setting an example. But the problem is the vibes are bad. Like, as much as you want to go into analysis of the fact that Jordan Brooks is a great leader, or it seems like the guys really look up to Tua, and it seems like you've shifted in that sort of direction, the vibes are just, how many teams go and win Super Bowls or play great when you have a guy in Jalen Ramsey who might be the greatest corner I've ever seen, leave the team and then talk about how bad your head coaching is. And Vic Fangio, the best defensive coordinator of this generation, leaving the team and your players telling him to go kick rocks, and then he wins a Super Bowl with the Eagles. Like Xavier Howard, it leaves your team and is now talking about how your quarterback can't get past his first read. That it doesn't make a lot of sense that all these guys who have consistently left the team, not even necessarily having more success in other places, but guys who have been proven to have success, be hardworking players, and be the kind of vocal leaders elsewhere, have consistently told you this guy doesn't have it, or at least the guys that you've put in leadership positions don't have it. So it's kind of just like it's kind of a dichotomy going on. I think Miami kind of wanted it to be that way in a sense where they wanted to move more towards leaders who bought into Mike McDaniel's image, which I think is why they brought in a lot of guys who don't necessarily have championship pedigree elsewhere, because then they're not comparing the way that they're learning. I think Louis Riddick said something like that they're not comparing, oh, I've won a championship with Belichick or Sean McVay. I'm not going to compare their leadership styles. I just want to win. Right. But at the same time, the vibes are bad when all the guys who are like Dolphins legends for however long they were here leave your team and all of a sudden don't have good things to say.
I wonder how quickly this can unravel if it is a loss. I wrote a story for SI that's going up tomorrow morning on 5 teams that desperately need a week 2 win. And it sounds, again, we talk about sensationalizing things. It's kind of sensationalizing it going into week 2, but there are teams, right, where the wheels just fall off automatically. And a team like the Dolphins go into us with Mike McDaniel and Chris Greer seemingly on the hot seat, even from last season when Stephen Ross kind of had to put out the message after the season, like, no, we're sticking with them. That tells you that, this year is going to be sort of a 1 year, again, another 1 year trial. So we'll get into this Patriots game and Patriots versus Dolphins game and kind of how the Pats and Dolphins can attack each other in just a second. But first, I want to talk to you guys about our friends over at Prize Picks, because as you guys know, this episode and every episode of the Patriots Daily Podcast is brought to you by Prize Picks. You and I make decisions every day, but on Prize Picks, being right can get you paid. So don't miss out on any of the action this season on Prize Picks, where it's good to be right. You think Saquon Barkley is going to have more or less than one rushing touchdown this weekend? Joe Burrow or Josh Allen, more or less than 2.5 passing touchdowns? Put your knowledge to the test on Prize Picks today. It is super simple to play. You just got to pick more or less on at least 2 player stat projections, and if you get your picks right, you can cash in. So if you want to get in on the action, download the app today. You see it on screen. Use code CLNS, and you get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. Again, that's code CLNS. You get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks, it's good to be right. And before we get to it, I also want to throw one more thing into the mix here. It is Thursday. It is obviously September 11th. And this Thursday, Boston joins the 9/11 Memorial and Museums Tribute in Light, born in New York, as 2 twin blue beams over Lower Manhattan. And at dusk tonight in Boston, landmarks across the city and in Cambridge will glow blue. From City Hall to Fenway Park, the Prudential Center, the Zakim Bridge, and more. It's the second year in a row that Boston is being included in this tribute, and it's spearheaded by our friends over at Gupta Media in Boston. So if you are in the area, take a step outside, look up, and remember those lives lost on 9/11 and all who were changed forever. Boston, as does the rest of the country, remembers. All right, so back to Dolphins versus Patriots here. And more so kind of want to gear it now towards Tua and the players, because we talked about the McDaniel and company. But Tua didn't look great on Sunday. And you mentioned Xavier Howard, and the kind of once he's off his first read, he kind of he kind of turtled, for lack of a better term. So where are you at with the quarterback right now? Is he still Miami's franchise quarterback, as McDaniel mentioned yesterday, or has there been some serious regression from Tua this season?
I mean, we started off with certainly some regression. I mean, I was watching my buddy Kyle Krabs preview this game, and he was talking about how Tua looked like he was in a new offense. And there isn't much of a better way to describe that, even though it was year 4. And like I said, a lot of that is McDaniel, the coaching, not putting the players in the best position to win, Tyreek lining up in the wrong place multiple times, Tua getting to the line late, and a lot of the things that have plagued this Dolphins team in general. But there were also just some mysterious misses from Tua in places where you were given easy wins. McDaniel still had relative ease putting Miami in positions where you have a feeling you're getting cover 3. Here's a perfect cover 3 beater that you throw, sometimes 5 to 10 times a game. If it's working, go hit it. And Tua just flat foots it and misses it and sails it over Tyreek's head. Or you're facing cover 1 man on 4th and 6, and you got Jaylen Waddle just running naked over the middle of the field, and Tua just doesn't see it, tries to get to the backside, and was struggling with, I guess, transforming what he saw pre-snap versus post-snap. And
were they disguising?
Not even that much. Most of it, I mean, don't get me wrong, it was more front-end simulated pressure than back end disguises. There were some disguising going on, but like that first interception to Tyreek was as basic of cover 3 as you can get. The stuff that Tua day in and day out attacks, and the stuff that you're like, okay, all the talk in Miami is, can this team beat the 2 high? It's not, can this team beat single high off coverage with 2 of the best space eating receivers in the NFL? So yeah, I mean, with Tua, I thought it was all over the place. I felt like his feet looked flatter than ever. I thought he looked very like those back steps looked so heavy in his drop back that when there was pressure coming up the middle, which with a backup guard and a rookie guard is bound to happen, he could not create even on the level we saw mid to late season last year. He just did not look mobile. His mechanics were all over the place. His reads it seemed like he was passing up things that were open or throwing places that he normally doesn't. It certainly looks like regression. And for somebody who needs kind of that rhythm and needs to be on time, on point with perfect timing in this offense for them to be at their best, if we keep seeing it from Tua, the ceiling for this team drops tremendously.
I always say before these games, and I'm hoping the Patriots actually do it now that it's the Mike Vrabel era, I cannot stand when they have like cover 3 heavy plans. I don't even like cover 2 very much against this Miami team because it feels like you need to have some kind of physical presence, like in the quarters where the safeties can come downhill and actually be physical and put a little fear in your heart where it's like, all right, if you want to catch this glance or this deep in, we're going to make you pay for it. So you want to think twice. But going to the front end, you mentioned there were a lot of disguises. The Patriots last week, very out of Vrabel fashion, decided to blitz pretty significantly and got home a lot. There were a couple that I wanted to be shot into the sun. My goodness. But for the most part, the blitz went well. And obviously, right side for the Dolphins is not doing too hot. James Daniel and Austin Jackson are expected not to play. What's the plan there? Like, how do you think Mike McDaniel adjusts and tries to, obviously, when one entire side of your line is going to be backups, that's never easy. But how do you see Mike McDaniel trying to put a Band-Aid over that problem so they can just have some level of success against a Patriots defensive line that looked pretty good last week?
Well, Mike McDaniel's plan in week 1 was to, it seemed like, get the backs and tight ends more involved in the protection and start doing more of those like longer developing shot plays for Miami, where it's like even 2-man route concepts, or just putting Miami in a situation where you kind of trust Tua given a lot of time versus pretty basic coverages. He is one of the better quarterbacks, in my opinion, that if he gets a long look at something pretty static, he can usually do like a good 7-on-7 football and just kind of let it rip and make it happen. But the problem is that it was the personnel stuff that I was talking about earlier. Devon Achane being 5'8", going out and trying to, double team with Tanner Connor, a former college wide receiver, on DeForest Buckner, or leaving the edges one-on-one with F tight ends who can't, stop a nosebleed. That's the kind of stuff where it felt like that's not a bad plan with the guys on your roster who you feel like can make those plays. Like, and I don't know necessarily how the number one way I would guess that they adjust that is simply going to like Julian Hill and Jeff Wilson rather than Tanner Connor and Devon Achane. But that protection plan certainly has to change, and you have to get to the line quicker to give Tua more time to hopefully dissect that and get more time at the line to kill plays and adjust protections and make site adjusts, because that's what we've been talking about all offseason. Like, so much of Mike McDaniel's praise for Tua was it is consistency of mastery. He's learning to master this offense. The first couple of years it was learning it. Now he gets it and he's trying to almost teach it and put guys in the right position to succeed. Well, you can't put Tua in a position to do all that when he's getting in the line with 5 seconds left and you have to burn a timeout on a 2-point conversion play because Tyreek doesn't know where to line up. Like, there has to be some sort of accountability for when guys aren't producing, when guys don't know where to line up, when Mike McDaniel himself can't get the play call in fast enough. There has to be some sort of accountability of like, kill it. We're not running the motion. We need adjustments. And
that's what I was. Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to cut you off.
Yeah, no, I mean, that's pretty much it. That's where you have to learn how to change.
And because Josh McDaniels was actually asked today about motion. And because the Patriots obviously are known, even for Josh McDaniels, like going pretty far back, not being someone who leans into it too much. And he said, like, yeah, motion is fun and we'll use it sometimes, but it can also hurt you. The first thing that came to my mind is, like a West Coast offense, because the Shanahan systems like McVay, there's a ton of motions. You got the shift, then you got the other shift, then you got the motion. And it's great when you're getting the identifiers and putting guys in bad spots, but it can also make things harder on your offense because if the play call isn't in on time or one guy makes a mistake, it can completely throw off the rhythm. So I was curious, like, how much would you put it on McDaniel and the personnel not doing the right thing versus how much of it was maybe they do need to cut back on some of the motion stuff and just kind of just line up and play football sometimes?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's both. I think it's pretty clearly both. I think the problem that the situation you're putting yourself in is that Tua is not the best quarterback when it comes to later in the play after seeing some sort of rotation or change. He does take a second it's not necessarily panicking like Xavier Howard says, but he's not the best back end reader when things are changing. You'll see sometimes he tries to make that timing throw and it goes right through a safety's hands because he wasn't expecting a rotation down from that safety or something along those lines. So you need time for Tua to get to the line and see what the potential changes in the coverage can be. Is there some sort of dummy count you can do where you start seeing the safety come down early, that kind of stuff? And I think it is almost entirely on Mike McDaniel for not getting Tua in that position because it's the two things. It's not getting the play in on time and then not putting your personnel on the field who you can trust. I mean, Tyreek Hill, like it was genuinely concerning on tape watching him operate like it was his first time in this offense.
I can tell you're pissed at that.
I am, because when you talk about accountability and the vibes being bad and the fact that you trade away Jalen Ramsey and the fact that you keep hyping up Jaylen Waddle and Malik Washington as these guys who are getting reps with Tua, and then the first game of the season, you go back to that 2024 version of the offense or 2023 version of the offense where it's, where is Tyreek? Get the ball to Tyreek. This is Tyreek's offense. And meanwhile, we're trying to have Tua own this offense by getting him to the line quicker and making plays at the line. And I feel like if you want to demonstrate the mastery of the offense, the stuff you can truly teach in the preseason, it is what can Tua do pre-snap to set himself up post-snap. And he didn't really have the opportunity to do so.
So then what I want to ask about Tyreek Hill, and the off the field stuff is the off the field stuff. And I don't mean to minimize that, but that's what it's been with Tyreek Hill since he's been in the league, all the way to college, Kansas City, Miami, whatever. But it's not happening on the field now either, right? I mean, there was that stat last week that kind of went viral. He hasn't had a 30-plus yard gain in a calendar year. And you're saying it. He's lining up wrong. They're still trying to force him the football. Is this Miami team better off without Tyreek Hill at this point? Like, where do you see that going? And would the offense just be better off from moving on?
I don't think the offense on paper is better without somebody of Tyreek's caliber, because you watch the Colts game and when they're rotating and when they're playing these single high coverages, they tend to rotate towards Tyreek, put more coverage in his area, but it is running the entire offense through him as the number one that I'm upset about, because Jaylen Waddle, I mean, there are 5 or 6 plays on tape where Jaylen Waddle is wide open and not getting the football. And he has consistently been the guy that when you need a one-on-one bucket, you go to Jaylen Waddle. I don't think there's anyone better at running an inside release corner route in the NFL than Jaylen Waddle. That guy will dust any corner you put in front of him to go win one-on-one and go get the football. And Tua has shown time and time again that he's willing to rip those routes, but they're either not early in the progression of the play, or we're looking to Tyreek's side first, or we're using Jaylen Waddle as a decoy to get Tyreek open. And there are so many times where Jaylen Waddle is just not the subject of a play, where I feel like if you switched it up and made him the number one, teams are still going to rotate the coverage to Tyreek Hill until they're proven otherwise. And then realistically, I think Tyreek still has the speed and athleticism that if they really start rotating to Jaylen Waddle, you can make them pay the opposite way. It was just such a lack of adjustment from Tua, from the coaching staff, to set out to, you have a 1-2 punch. It's not just the fact that you have one guy. You have potentially the best 1-2 punch in football, and the second guy you just kind of pretend doesn't exist.
I want to get into the trenches, because that was one place where I was actually thinking the Dolphins were making a philosophical shift. It felt like, okay, they're getting serious about let's get bigger so we can maybe play some bully ball. Obviously, James Daniel probably not going to play on Sunday, but how have some of those investments worked out? Like Kenneth Grant, Jonas Savanaia were guys that I like coming out, but I'm curious, like, have they paid off so far? Obviously still very early in their careers, or are they still kind of figuring things out?
I think Kenneth Grant had a pretty strong performance on Sunday. I liked what I saw from him. I also think that he was a rookie in his first NFL start, and there were some obvious plays. Like the Colts really did a good job of when he was on the field, getting him involved in trap plays and trying to set him up so that he would attack downfield as the player he is, and then just get sandwiched by a guard and a tight end. Like I thought that they did a really good job of that on their explosive runs, because you know that this is a player who loves to rush the passer and loves to get downhill. And if he sees, oh my gosh, there's no guard in front of me, he's going to go run like there's, and like there's a piece of cheese, and then he gets mousetrapped. And it's like, and there were a couple of times from him there, but I thought I saw some really good stuff at the point of attack. I thought Jordan Phillips had a pretty good game when he was in the game, which was super late. And Miami's going to have to rely on those guys a lot, because it doesn't look like Benito Jones is going to play Sunday, and he's their nose tackle, at least their starting nose tackle. And Miami's going to be in a position where they kind of have to evolve, because you have two rookies who are probably going to be the 1 and 2 options to take that place. And they were already in an interesting position where Benito Jones wasn't performing very well. And it was very obvious when your run personnel versus when your pass personnel was on the field. And the Colts did such a phenomenal job taking advantage of that. So I wonder if it means more Kenneth Grant on Sunday, maybe even potentially playing more nose in order to try to keep your run and pass personnel similar so that you can still get after the quarterback on early downs.
It was weird. Jordan Phillips did flash on those last, obviously it was the fourth quarter at that point, it's coming, but I was like, hold up, this run defense looks a lot different when he's in the game. So I'd also be curious if he gets some more opportunities as well.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. When there's a nose in the game, it's going to be Jordan Phillips. Like when there is a true guy that they drafted to be a nose. I just wonder how many times can you get Kenneth Grant in the nose on those early downs, because of the fact that the Colts were burning you consistently on early downs, coming out in heavy personnel, knowing that you were going to be a run first foot, like knowing that you were going to be trying to defend the run first, and then just taking advantage of it with the passing game, and then doing the complete opposite. I mean, what the Colts did on Sunday was phenomenal. They ran 40 plays out of 11 personnel, I think it was. And like they were third in EPA, I believe, on those plays. And they ran the ball more than any other team out of 11 personnel. They were like, okay, we're going to come out and pass personnels and run the ball, come out and run personnels and pass the ball. And Miami was not ready for any of that. And it was beautiful.
Dream plan.
I want to stay on this topic and how the Patriots can attack the Dolphins defense. But first, we do have to tell you guys about our friends over at Monarch Money. So stay tuned. We'll be right back. Like it or not, money is everything. And oftentimes, people have no idea where their finances are. Whether it's 401ks, investment accounts, or property, a lack of awareness leaves money on the table every single day. That's where Monarch Money comes in. Feel organized and confident in your finances with Monarch Money, an all-in-one personal finance tool that brings your entire financial life together in one clean interface on your laptop or phone. And right now, just for our listeners, Monarch is offering 50% off your first year. I started using Monarch recently, and I feel like I now have complete control over my portfolio because of it. The app is super easy to use, and it's also built for people with busy lives, juggling personal life, jobs, and more. Monarch is truly the best way to get a handle on your finances. So don't let financial opportunity slip through the cracks. Use code PATRIOTS at monarchmoney.com in your browser for half off your first year. That's 50% off your first year at monarchmoney.com with code PATRIOTS. All right, so Tyler, you mentioned the run game there and how Indy attacked Miami, but I do want to save that for a second and get more so into Drake May, the passing game, how the Patriots can attack this defense, because Daniel Jones shredded the Dolphins last week. In the air, on the ground, couple rushing touchdowns. How did he find success against this Dolphins defense? What made it what made it easy on the Indy quarterback, and how can the Patriots potentially attack the secondary, the second level, and also kind of get after their front seven?
I mean, I kind of mentioned it there at first with the personnel plan that Indy trotted out. They ran in 12 personnel. They ran the 8th most 12 personnel in the league, and, obviously a pretty heavy run formation, but they were still top 12 in pass rate out of those looks. On early downs, they were not afraid to put multiple tight ends on the field, get Miami bringing out those nose tackles, mugging up those backers, and then take advantage by running these bootlegs, dumping the ball off to Tyler Warren, and kind of getting Daniel Jones easy completions by the defense and the coverage responsibilities that they were forcing the Miami Dolphins to trot out. And when it comes to, I mean, that was the bulk of their early game pass work, was just, here's a 12 personnel look with Tyler Warren and Mo Alley Cox, but here comes a pass play off of it. And I thought they did a really good job of that. And I see the Patriots here were also top 12 in 12 personnel pass rate. So it's like, that's definitely a spot where the Miami Dolphins can get burned. And then on top of that, when the Colts came out in these lighter looks, they did a really good job taking advantage of who was the weak point in that cornerback room. Indianapolis clearly saw something with Storm Duck as somebody that they could manipulate, especially into high coverages. And he obviously won't be playing this week, but they saw that as somebody that they could attack, and they did a great job of it. They were manipulating him as the cover 2 flat defender, putting him in conflict in man coverage, and just doing everything that they could to throw routes in his direction, force some sort of missed decision or indecision, and then just play whoever offense on Storm Duck, on Benito Jones in the run game. The thing that the Colts did really well was isolating individual matchups and then just attacking those.
So I don't want to get back into the ground because we did kind of talk about that, but to tie a bow on it with this, what happened, or passes, what happened if the Patriots win this game? If the Dolphins win this game, what happened?
If the Patriots win this game, I think that you're looking at an efficient Drake May performance. I think you're looking at not necessarily something that's going to wow you, but I think you're looking at a perspective where Josh McDaniels came out with a game plan that stuck, and it is going to be coming out in those 12 personnel looks, coming out in heavier formations, and isolating players on each level. The Miami Dolphins have a weak link on each level. I thought the linebacker room was something I was really excited about coming into the season. And Tyrell Dodson, who was playing opposite Jordan Brooks, was the target. He had the target on his back. Not only was he wearing the green dot, he was wearing the red dot by the Colts. They were putting everything that they could on him to, here's a run play. We are running as far away from Jordan Brooks as possible. Here's a pass play where we've got him as a hook or curl defender, and then somebody in the flat, often could be Jason Marshall, the nickel. Let's attack that matchup between inexperienced players. If the Patriots win this game, it is because they did a good job manipulating those matchups, and then on defense, playing physical at the line of scrimmage, forcing Tua to get off his spot and make plays, and got interior pressure. If the Dolphins win this game, I think that they've adjusted. I think that this is another litmus test for the Dolphins. I think that we've seen Patriots defenses of the past be willing to throw a lot of different looks at Tua and stay physical, especially, even though you've brought up that they've come out with these cover 3 heavy defensive looks. There have been times where Tua has been in the red zone, stifled by the Patriots because of the fact that they're willing to trot out physicality and, press at the line of scrimmage and make him make tight throws, tight decisions. If the Dolphins are able to be physical in their run game, stick to their run game, and then start truly using the guys that we've been hyped up all offseason, like a Julian Hill, like a Jaylen Waddle, that's kind of the adjustment Miami can make on offense. And then on defense, I think it just comes down to how can you win with your front 4 on early downs? Can you come out, especially against these play action looks, and either get immediate pressure, stay compact? I guess the word would be stay communicating on the back end, because there were a lot of times where you would have a coverage triangle and one guy would pass it off in a weird way, especially these young guys like Jason Marshall, where they're not really understanding the space of the team yet. If Miami can stay communicating on the back end, get that kind of bottled up, not allow these explosives and I think that's how Miami wins the game.
All right, can I get a score prediction out of the both of you? I don't know if you're a score guy, I don't know, but we'll try it. Tyler, what do you think? How does this game turn out? We don't need a full, why, but what do you think the final score will be?
I think the Dolphins are a talented enough team with their back against the wall at home in Miami, in a place that they typically do play better, especially in a 1:00 hot September game,
right?
That I think they can eke one out. But I also don't think it's going to be a gimme. I think it's going to be a low scoring game. I think it's going to be could be potentially a similar start to what you saw in that Colts game, where it's just the methodical drives of slow dink and dunk passing plays combined with, if the Patriots can get something going on the ground, potentially scoring early. But like I said, I think Miami is talented enough that they can pull away. I think this is a slightly better matchup for them than the Colts. So I'd say probably Miami 20, New England 17.
Taylor, what
I
do you
was
got?
literally going to say 23-20. I'm feeling the same way. Like, I want to be out
Patriots.
this
You have Patriots? Or are you
yeah.
taking the Fins?
I'm going to go Patriots in this one.
Okay.
Just because it is Miami. It feels like this is the kind of Dolphins team that like you hire Mike Vrabel for. It's like, hey, Mike, like your team is so tough and so big and bad. Stuff Mike McVrabel squad or stuff Mike McDaniel squad in a locker. Like that's what it's got to be. But I also don't think the Patriots have shown enough, especially offensively, for me to think that they're going to like boat race anybody. I do think it's going to be competitive, but I think the Patriots defensive front is really going to be the difference maker here. Hopefully the Patriots can get downfield and, take advantage of some red zone opportunities. But I feel like this is going to be one where they kind of get a feel for each other. And then we see a different kind of game as it goes on in the second half.
Yeah, I'm with you. I'm going to go 24-20 Patriots. I think that like what we saw last week, it wasn't great from the Dolphins. And in theory, I think people think the Patriots should just, like you said, boat race these guys because of how bad Miami was last week. But the Patriots weren't great either. Both teams are 0-1. For what it is, Miami's trying to find a new identity. Patriots are trying to start an identity. So I do think it's going to be a tight one. Patriots end up eking it out in the end. So I think that's going to do it here for our Patriots-Dolphins preview. Tyler, this was awesome. Your insight was outstanding. We appreciate it. Our fans appreciate it. Before we get you out of here, just let everybody know where they can find you, where they can follow you, and what great stuff you have coming up Dolphins content-wise.
Biggest place is Twitter. My Twitter is my last name followed by my first name @Desena_Tyler. I'm on TikTok a little bit. Started a Substack, the Backside Dig Substack, where I'm posting a lot of Dolphins related stuff and football stuff. So potentially could be some breakdowns of other teams on there too, depending on what Patriots performances we get. But a lot of football stuff over there, and wherever you look up my name, you'll probably find me. I've been posting a lot of NFL stuff lately.
Keep killing it, buddy.
Yeah, we appreciate it. Thank you so much again for joining us, Tyler. Great stuff.
Thank you.
And myself and Taylor will be back Friday. We will have our Discord. So come join us on Discord. Anyone can join. Members can ask questions. So make sure you tune in there. Keep it here on Patriots Press Pass or everything Patriots related throughout the weekend. We'll have post game after Sunday's contest as well. So rate, review, subscribe to the podcast, subscribe to the channel. You guys know the drill. So until next time, thanks for watching. Take care of yourselves. Take care of each other. And we will see you next time. Peace out, everyone.